This students is probably one of the favoured syllabus points by the examiner because it can be asked in a number of ways, and it really does allow you to show both your knowledge and a bit of higher level thinking in applying that knowledge to particular case studies. So it is factors that determine the feasibility of expanding into a foreign market, and you can see the 3 dot points there. So this is in Unit 3, and I always teach this in that in Unit 3 we are really looking into the feasibility, or the things that we need to consider before we actually get into those operational things when we're in a market. Feasibility is all about your research and deciding whether or not the business will be successful, and if we may need to adapt certain elements of the product features, or the overall marketing mix to achieve success in that market. So the first dot point when assessing the feasibility of expansion is the level of demand by consumers. And the definition there is its willingness to pay a price for a specific good or service. And the next part is actually the most important part, because I've never seen a question which does not ask you to explain each of the factors. So really, in understanding the level of demand, we've got to assess the size of the customer market, as well as how often they may purchase the product. So level of demand can be influenced primarily by economic factors, which include income levels, unemployment, inflation, exchange rates, things like that. And that's about it. Please try not to get the level of demand mixed up with the next one, which is consumption patterns. So I guess level of demand, I always associate demand with economics. So therefore, really this is about economic factors which may influence a purchase. Consumption patterns are slightly different, and they refer to really the social cultural trends, I would argue, which an individual is influenced by in their purchase or consumption of goods and services to satisfy their needs. So here is where a business may change or adapt or standardize elements of its marketing mix to achieve success in the target market. So generally, as we did right back at the beginning, when we talked about how consumption patterns can drive global business development, if a business researches and can understand consumption patterns by assessing things like what is the consumer trend or taste, what are the competition doing in terms of alternate or substitute products, can people, is there a desire for discretionary spending because income levels are changing in the particular market. Of course, for many products, the actual geographic location of the target market is important, particularly if it's potentially food or swimwear or apparel. And also, we know seasonal holidays and events. We might only release our product in a particular market at a particular time to fit in with a holiday or seasonal event in that location. The last one is competitor activity, and this is a lot easier. So when we're assessing the feasibility of expansion, we need to see the number of competitors in the foreign market that we are moving into, and really their market share, because if it is saturated, it will be less likely that we can succeed. And don't forget, when we're assessing that level of competition, we have to assess the domestic competition within the new market, other international competitors which will compete with us, which kind of doubles down with online or e-commerce competitors, because now in 2025, really, people can buy whatever they want from wherever they want. So in your explanation, it's pretty obvious that if the level of competition is low, it is probably going to be easier for you to enter the market. Whereas if it is high, you would have to really, really concentrate on finding a niche and specializing and adapting your product mix to make sure that it is, in some way different to the others that are available. So this question comes often in WACE exams. As I said, it's a bit of a favorite because you can pretty much relate any case study or anything to it. Again, last year, this was the first time I've seen a question like this put in the short answer section. So again, for the first time in a number of years, the examiner put a small piece of information about a particular business in the short answer section and asked you to respond to it, which is different, and it is, a change in the way questions have been asked in the past. Normally, we would only see this in the extended response section, and you'd be required to achieve marks to actually respond in detail to what was in the case study. So here there is a question about an Australian umbrella company called Raise, and you are asked to explain how consumption patterns would affect the feasibility of Raise umbrellas expanding into a foreign market. So again, you can choose to have a go at this yourself before you look at the model answer, but I just want to point out again that that word explain means you've got to show the relationship between things, in this case consumption patterns and expansion into a foreign market. You've really got to relate how an understanding of that will lead to a positive effect for the business. So if you want to pause the video now and actually have a go at answering the question, you can. Okay, good. So if you did, awesome. But if you didn't, you can see in the model answer there, there are two key things which I think make a good answer for this question. First, I always start or recommend you start with the definition of the concept, which is in yellow in the model answer there. That's straight from the PowerPoint. And then to fully get, to give you the opportunity to achieve full marks, you've really got to go into detail in your explanation. And you'll notice with the last sentence there, if there is a small case study or if there is a business named in the question, you really have to mention in some way that business in your answer. And you can see that in the last sentence there in the model answer. So again, I hope that helps. Highly likely, probably not consumption patterns, but it's highly likely the other two may come up somewhere in the exam this year. All the best.